Hi, I'm Adam Myerson from CycleSmart, and we are here at the final 2 rounds of the Victoria Northeast Cyclocross Series, the NBX Grand Prix of Cyclocross. It is traditionally end of the season, cold weather, sometimes it's frozen, always sandy. It's right on the beach, Goddard State Park in Rhode Island. So it's a lot of riders' favorite course. We don't get beach races a lot. The sand here is really fun. Right now it's partially covered in snow. I think the kind of conditions you're going to get in large part can depend on what time of the day your race is. It'll probably be frozen in the morning and maybe a little muddy in the afternoon. This is my first ride off-road since breaking my thumb a month ago, so I will be taking it slow out there and really just doing a course inspection and talking about what I see as much as I will be ripping lines and showing you the best thing. We're just going to take a look at it together. Let's do it. So there is a start loop both days. It feeds into the course differently, and today we're going to be focused on day 1, small changes for day 2. We're going to skip the start section for now and go right into the course, but this is also the last corner, so what you're seeing when we start here is both the start and finish stretch. Slightly downhill. Gets more downhill into the first little up and down. You can see there's standing snow. We'll see how much it freezes up or packs in. And then after that, there's really no pedaling because you go right into the first run up. Stone steps, short run, bumpy after, still uphill for a little bit. You might have to take a few more steps than you want. We'll see how much of this snow sticks around. It's supposed to be below freezing at night, but only into the 30s as highs during the day. So if I was racing right now, I would ride a mixed conditions tire. The leaves are slippery and not frozen. The snow is slushy right now. NBX is usually a course for file treads. The leaves are slippery. The ground is surprisingly frozen. It's the snow that's making it slippery. I was expecting to be like the traditional conditions. Fast, the sand moves around, file treads are usually best. I think the Cat 4 or 5 race in the morning, as is often the case, is going to have the most challenging conditions because it's still going to be frozen. That sand is a little soft. High barriers here. Other than sand, the other big feature here are the roots. You really have to pick your lines through the roots. It's a course that people break wheels on. A lot of this part of the course was underwater last year. So in this corner, the line that you want might not work because of the roots. A new little turn here. The entrance is narrowed, so you gotta find the right line again around the turn and through the roots. I can tell you these roots don't feel real good on a broken thumb. You're doing a lot of unweighting of the saddle, hovering over the saddle to just absorb all those little bumps. I always like this turn through the roots. There is a line. A lot of people slow down there and slam all of them, but there, if you look, there's a smooth line through that web of roots. Little off camber here. Snow, first entrance to the pit. And this starts to take you into the sandy back section of the course and beginning to approach the drop into the infamous beach run. There's a down tree on the course that they left here. It's very hoppable, not by me right now. Just a single log. These turns are extra tricky right now, covered in snow. They're always tricky enough just with sand. People make the mistake of trying to go too fast through some of these turns because you can pedal, but in sand, at some point, your tires will break away and you slide out unexpectedly. You gotta find that sweet spot in terms of speed. Here we approach the drop into the beach run. The sand is pretty frozen right now. I think if there was a rut, the beach is more rideable than I've ever seen it. So I still wouldn't call it rideable unless the ruts form. So here's the drop in. So if a rut forms here along the beach wall from people running with their bikes in the sand, that could turn into an actually rideable line at some point. It's not impossible, but I think with lots and lots of riders running in the early races, there you go. It's doable. It didn't look easy.
Right. Almost.
So the lane doesn't get closed. There's plenty of room to pass if you're a fast runner. And then, as we have in the past few years, you turn up to the beach house, wooden stairs, makes the run a little longer, a little harder. Remount on concrete. This turn is a little difficult because your tires are now covered in sand and a little bit of water, and that turn on the pavement is where you have the least amount of traction, not the most. Drop back into the parking lot. I find the separation, because of the run, doesn't happen on the run. It happens on this paved section after the run. You remount, and for the riders who are gassed from the run, have a hard time re-accelerating and staying on the wheel here. The riders who are strong in the run, or for whom the run doesn't take much out of, from whom, that's where you can make a difference. This ride up is always tricky. You have to carry as much speed into the turn as you can, but it's also easy to slide out on the entrance at the bottom. And then the drop back in can be tricky too. The leaves are slippery for sure. I think you'll see people losing their front tire on that drop in. But honestly, there's no place to go. You're just setting up for this next corner anyway. Right here is a great place to punch it if you save some energy and you rested down there. Attacking up here. I'm surprised at how much the leaves are a factor. I wouldn't say that that's ever been a thing that I've considered like a feature at NBX before, but for sure it will be this weekend. These leaves are slippery. Back into some standing snow. That'll keep getting packed down. The question is, will it freeze in? Come up to the next run, more stone steps. And then if you're quick, you can remount before the ride up. Some people will run all the way to the top. It's definitely worth getting on there, making sure you pick your gear before the dismount so you can remount and start pedaling right away even if you're not clipped in. Some standing snow here where there's usually soft sand. Not much traction there, but the snow is really moving around. It's slippery. That was the second passage of the pit. And then this is where the attacks or the finish really happen. You can't wait for the sprint here. The sprint is to the last wooded section. Sometimes you can ride the fence here. It's set up right against the pavement, so there's not much of a line. But you do need to set up for this turn. So it's like you gotta protect your inside, but you also need to set up. Here the roots are a big factor. Picking your line through the roots. Layout's always a little different every year. I'd call that a less rooty path than we've had in the past. That was actually pretty nice. Usually a lot more roots than that. Last corner, really can't avoid the roots, but yeah, that's good choices, I think, by the course designers this year to look for the least rooty line through that trees. That was nice. There'll be plenty of room for racing. And here's your sprint to the finish. But I think the sprint starts when you pass the pit for the last time, and then you're just holding your spot all the way to the finish. There you go. Victoria Series final. Hope you all have fun tomorrow.